So Justin, see you bringing in some Merlot and doing a little bit of hand sorting. Obviously, harvest is upon us. How do you feel about the 2013 vintage? What's looking exceptional? What are you really excited about?
2013 vintage has been really interesting. It's a lot of starts and stops and pauses. The grapes started off with a lot of disease pressure, and then we got lucky and the weather broke, and we've had 3-4 weeks of great, dry, warm weather and seen a lot of ripening happening. You mentioned the Merlot. That's on a great site, and it came in almost as ripe as last year, which was a bit of a surprise because this has been a cooler vintage compared to 2012 when it was really hot.
I saw you pressing some Chardonnay out there, and specifically, looks like you're bringing that in. Is that going to be a barrel fermented Chardonnay, or is that going to be a stainless steel Chardonnay?
Probably going to be in stainless. We're bringing in some of it earlier, and then we're bringing in a little bit later. We still have some in the field. It'll be an undetermined location, probably go to a barrel program. We do about half of our Chardonnay is in stainless and about half is in barrel. It's just kind of a rough proportion. We do some ML with our Chardonnays as well.
So I see you guys have harvested some Pinot and it's already getting sorted through. How does Pinot look in vintage 2013?
We'll know a little bit better in a couple months, but so far it looks fantastic. This year, it's a completely different growing season than last year. So, we've had some different challenges, with the rain earlier on, but the last 3 weeks have been fantastic. We were able to leave them out a little later. We didn't have really any rot in the vineyard, so, kudos to the guys on the spray program because they did a really good job in that. And, right now, it's still fermenting. We're actually gonna press it off tomorrow, so we're done with the fermentation. And the color looks fantastic, by all accounts it tastes great so far, and now we're just gonna have to do a little magic over the next couple months, and I think it's gonna be a great vintage.
I actually saw a little bit of punching down being done before and a little bit of foot trotting, practice we're familiar with.
Sure.
So what's the specifics of that process? Why do you choose to do that with your Pinot?
Yeah, so as far as our Pinot Noir process is concerned, we actually keep the stems included, and that offers us a little more tannin component in the finished wines, as well as a little more spiciness to the mid palate. And with that, the first couple days of traditionally punching down with our stainless steel Frisbee disc style punch down tool, it's a bit too rigid. So we prefer to trot in there with food grade boots that we sanitize beforehand, and our wonderful help has been able to get their I Love Lucy grape stomping experience on.
So Sarah, we're here on the west side of Seneca Lake at your vineyard, and I'm just curious, I'm seeing harvesters out in the fields. What's coming in right now? What are you harvesting?
We're bringing in Cabernet Franc, Riesling. We've completed our Merlot harvest. We've already completed in the last couple of weeks our Gruner Veltliner and Sauvignon Blanc.
That's interesting.
Both look really nice. The Pinot Noir, it looks wonderful.
So I saw you recently harvesting a little bit of Merlot, which you guys were doing by hand and getting some really nice bunches. I'm seeing a mix of mechanical harvesting and hand harvesting. What do you want to say about that?
For us personally, we like the mechanically harvested fruit. It gives us a lot of versatility as far as how quickly we can get the fruit in. So we got a lot of changing conditions here. We'll have some mornings where we got some dew on the vines. So our windows of opportunity when the fruit is at the right temperature and it's dry are somewhat limited. So we like the ability to get a lot of fruit when the conditions are right. So we do a lot of sampling, find when the fruit is at its best, its peak of ripeness, and then we can get a lot of fruit harvested quickly with the harvester. Where we do some hand harvesting is in the red vinifera. Pinot Noir, we always hand pick that. It's a little benefits from the little gentler handling that we get from hand picking. And then if we've got any kind of fruit variability in any of the red vinifera, we are able to do some hand sorting as we pick with hand picking. What we prefer to do is throughout the growing season we'll do several passes by hand through the vineyard and drop fruit if we see anything. A year like this where we don't have a lot of growing conditions with some rain involved and everything, sometimes we'll drop some fruit in the red vinifera, so we do that by hand. But we like to do our sorting in the vineyard and then get everything really uniform, and then pick with the machine when conditions are perfect.
So of the wines or of the grapes that are still in the vines, like your Cab Franc, what are you most excited to bring in? What do you think in terms of reds and whites that are still hanging? What are you most excited about?
It's hard not to be most excited about Riesling, of course. The sugars are a little slower coming around. That's okay. I think there's great balance with acidity in these Rieslings that are coming in. I think the flavors have developed at lower sugar levels, and I think that's partly a reflection of the slower ripening that we've seen this year. It's hard not to be most optimistic about Riesling in most every year. We just brought Gewürztraminer in. Absolutely beautiful, some of the best Gewürztraminer that we've seen. And I think Lemberger, absolutely beautiful flavors in our Lemberger. I think that'll be coming off within the next week.
I see you're bringing in some Riesling.
Yes.
So where are all of your vineyards?
We have 9 different growers on Cayuga Lake and Seneca Lake on west and east side of Seneca and the west side of Cayuga. About 21 different blocks and pretty unique little mesoclimates, and we like to ferment them all separately and keep them separate as long as we can.
That's great. That's really exciting to see more and more producers focusing on specific terroir, on specific vineyard sites, and how they sort of express a difference.
Yes.
So with regard to Riesling, single vineyard expressions, it seems to be a growing trend here in the Finger Lakes. What is the intention there? What is it that you're trying to do? Are you trying to single out certain sites and seeing what they've got, or are you trying to create something new altogether?
Our whole intent with our single vineyard Rieslings is to capture the personality and the character of each individual site. We work with half a dozen growers, and in some of these farms there are a half a dozen different blocks of Riesling that we track separately and handle separately, and every one is different. So our challenge as winemakers, is to identify the personality of each block and figure out how to best translate that personality and that character into the glass.
I'm always curious about, what varietals are, winemakers and grape growers are most passionate about. So why don't you talk a little bit about Gewürztraminer?
Gewürz is particularly happy for us because last year we actually sold most of our Gewürz, actually the last 2 years, because we just weren't seeing the sales of Gewürz that we thought that the vineyard could support. And the world is loving our Gewürz, and so we had to make a lot of it, so it was really exciting.
So Kim, we're here at Bloomer Creek, and I see you're bringing in some Gewürztraminer, fresh from your vineyards. What's special about this particular harvesting of Gewürztraminer?
This is our second picking. The young vines came in at 22 bricks. The older vines of 24 bricks or a little riper. They're very ripe, very high quality, very clean grapes with very good flavor development. And we still have Gewürztraminer in the field and will continue to pick. We generally like to make multiple pickings, different degrees of ripeness. And if there is botrytis development, we will take that into consideration and keep those separate. So anyway, our custom is to make multiple pickings.